The CBD side, I'm so thankful for the possibilities of this, but I also know from an investment stand, sure, a legality stand, like how do we actually do this correctly? And I'd say a good 9% of it is not necessarily doing it correctly. So it's trying to find the balance of business, cannabinoid science, and like endocannabinoid system research and actually helping patients, because at the end of the day, this is everything we do this for. All adults are patients too once it's legal. But what we do now matters, and for a lot of these patients and their stories, the businesses are not representing this cannabinoid or like this industry correctly, and we got to think long term in our decisions for patients, not just today, but deeply intergenerationally. I like to look at like the Controlled Substances Act that clearly defines like what is legal and what is not from like a controlled one substance. So it lists cannabinoids, all 117 known today, CBD, THC, A, G, all of them, all the fun new ones, and when we look at like the Farm Bill 2014, you needed to essentially have like State Department of Agricultural approval and an institution of higher education that had the authority to work with the Farm Bill to cultivate hemp for the extraction thereof of seeds, fibers, hulls, like not unpollinated female flowers, which we all know are so great. Anything that happened after that point, when you look at like 1961 UN conventions, single conventions on psychotropic substances, even now like WHO last week had a pretty good new finding on this. But everything CBD is completely as illegal as THC. And without the Cole memo, you don't really, which doesn't really mean crap anymore, but we still follow those 8 rules. It's really important. You essentially could not be doing extraction as a business of CBD unless you had a state-licensed medical cannabis operation for cultivation and extraction, but then you couldn't be selling non-THC products like in Colorado is where we originated. So we started to test this. 2014-15 is when they made the OLLS decision letter in Colorado that pretty much stated that unless it was derived from a state farm bill program or from a state medical cannabis program, you couldn't be doing this sort of thing. So it's all completely illegal. The 2018 Farm Bill, which it passes, is going to really carve out some great new things for this. But from a business standpoint of the definition, you think cannabis and hemp, kind of same thing. Biological definition of a species, the ability to create sexually viable offspring, I believe, Bill Nye. So cannabis, you've got your Great Danes, your poodles, like hemp is the Great Dane, poodle, bulldog, shih tzus, mix them. Around the world, you've had 0.3, 0.4, or 1% based on these THC thresholds, which should have been THCA, but they didn't really understand the science there. So legality of you look at Endoca, Stanley Brothers, Bluebird, a few of those initial ones that some have now had Canadian IPOs for over 100 million Canadian, which is much less, so it's not as cool sounding, but they're doing some big things right now. But also when you look at the USDA and the EPA, USDA, when they issued the warning letters, also with the FDA, to, it was 94 CBD companies, hey, we tested your products, there's not even cannabinoids in them. That's horrible press and credibility for a molecule or something that's really doing amazing work that we're barely beginning to understand. But normally with CBD, when I look at it, it's not interested. Because from an investment standpoint, it's market risk. It's not legal what they're doing. We already towed the line as an industry. So now the companies that are doing this correctly under state programs or hemp programs, to actually create this medicine, hopefully, if we don't have a standards program, patient-focused certification, from the cannabis side, from Americans for Safe Access, does a great job for cultivation, extraction, retail, GMP, GAP, global GRAP, all those standards. But right now we're in this moment where we know it's helping people, we know the definitions, no one's following those rules practically other than a few companies. And it's how do we actually create new companies to help people knowing the rules?